Okay, we are back at it again. I do not know what is going on with the internet at the office or my phone, technology, whatever it may be, but we're here on Thursday because I already sent Ben the invite, so he's just got to get on it. Let me grab him and let's pray it works today. But we were at an AI summit. Hello, babe. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're on mute. You're on mute. It says you are muted. Nope. You're still got the little mute icon. This is what technology is going to do, especially when we do it on a different day. So like everyone that like calls us or knows that we're usually in an appointment on Tuesdays at 2, but let me try bringing him on again. Yes. I can hear you.
Oh.
Hey. Yeah, anyways, let's get into it. We were at AI Summit. I was there on Tuesday. We had some amazing speakers from all different organizations about AI and how it's helping our businesses across all industries, but it was more real estate related. But let me just tell you, in these ChatGPT, these programs, you can build assistants, which are phenomenal. You can build back-end CEO dashboards for your company. I mean, I can't even touch on how amazing it is. And what it comes down to is what I've realized is you have to be really good at prompts and questions. And really, you need to spend like 10 or 15 minutes in it every single day, whether it's Gemini for Google, if you have like a Gmail account or whatever, adding Gemini. If you're at Keller Williams and using your KW email, it is free right now as a partnership with Keller Williams. So that's cool. I don't know how long that's going to go on, but dabble in that. And if you don't have those services at your current company, reach out to me and I'll connect you with whatever team leader that is in the area across the nation. So my agent friends, if you're watching this. And then there's even lots of companies that are helping and coaching you through this and doing workshops. And we're going to start doing workshops as well. Our team leader in Kent, Melissa, has a great mastermind from fundamentals all the way to mastery. So you can pop in wherever you're at in the process and move up and down. And really, AI is not there to take away our jobs. It is there to enhance the relationship so that it can take away some of that 80% tasks that we do. There's 192 tasks that a real estate agent does per transaction. They say it's about 50 hours of work per transaction that it handles, like we do as a whole. And so being able to leverage some of that so that we can provide better service in the relationship is where that's going to be. Are some people's jobs going to go away? Probably. You know what I mean? That's with anything. I mean, you look back at like Blockbuster and Kodak and all these companies that once were something that we knew as the main source of getting videos, and now there's just that's obsolete. And now our kids are like looking at the little cameras and think they're the coolest thing ever for photos because they're retro, when we thought when you could take pictures and it pops up on the screen that was the coolest thing back then. So we're getting old, but just know, what I fear for the agent and the lending community is if you don't jump on this, there's going to be a difference between AI enhanced professionals and not AI enhanced professionals. And you've got to jump in, even if you just dabble in it. It may be overwhelming. There's a lot of information. It's moving very fast, and you may not know where to get started. Connect with us. We'd love to be able to help. And if I don't know it, I can point you in the right resources, from transaction management to email service to calendars to flyers to whatever it may be. Keller Williams also has an exclusive agreement with Canva. partnering with them, that we get Canva Pro for free. And so we're doing classes on Canva as well and how to help in your business. So lots of opportunities in that. But I'm on a tangent about that. So today we wanted to talk about what is the process from you reached out because you might want to buy a house or you're thinking about it and you don't know what your next steps are, to getting an offer accepted. We'll start that. That could be, and maybe it's just to the pre-approval. It depends on the time and how long it takes to get into that. But I think what I love about working with Ben and I, and the feedback we get, is that it seems so simple. It's so seamless. Oh, I thought this was going to be a lot harder. My friend said, that this was the worst experience ever. It took so many months, or, they didn't explain things. I mean, we hear the nightmares. Also, on the other hand, though, by not telling people the process and making it so seamless, people tend to forget all the work that's done behind the scenes to even get to where that's at. And so I was talking to Ben the other day and said, hey, we really should slow this down a little bit so people know that it's not this big, audacious goal of climbing Mount Rainier or Mount Everest. We're just taking a few little steps and going back into that, get pre-approved and wait. Don't wait and get pre-approved for the right opportunity.
Agreed.
So, okay. So typically, when a lead or a person, an inquiry, wants to buy a house or look into buying a house, but they don't want to be pressured, they're scared. A lot of people don't want to talk to a lender because they feel like they have to buy a house if they do that, or they don't want them to look at their finances because they don't really know what's going on, or maybe they have some credit card debt, maybe someone was calling. Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. There's so many different avenues or things, but let's just break it down in simple terms. So let's just say someone was watching this video and they are thinking, okay, man, I really want to jump into this, but I don't know what to do. What is the first step in our process?
So I want to go back real quick because I know you said lead or something. It's just an opportunity because, they do want to, and that is turn the light on. So I know we've said that in many other lives, is the first step is you have to turn the light on so you can start to plan what your financial future looks like. And the next step from there is what does that mean? Kind of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
What do we expect, right? Because it's all about communication and expectations in every facet. So if you were curious about turning the light on and creating the roadmap for your personal plan, the first would be requesting a link to get basically the application started.
Okay.
Now,
So
I know,
pause that really quick.
yes.
So a link. So could they reach out to a real estate agent? Could they reach out to a lender? Like, every lender is so different. So we're going to talk specifically on our processes.
Yep.
So they could reach out to you or myself and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. The first step would be, well, for us, we set them up on a group text. And whether that's me as the agent with Ben or Ben with the agent with another person, we want to start that open line of communication. And that's when you would send a link to do the loan application.
Yeah, so I guess let's back up to like point 5. So the first step would be link, fill it out. But point 5 would be, and I mentioned it briefly, is the communication and the expectations of what their ideas and what they know so far.
Okay.
If their goal is to buy a home in the future, maybe that's 6 years from now.
Yeah.
We have to start somewhere and turn the light on. So it's having the communication. So the first step really would be to reach out to us and just kind of share and give us the communication of what your thoughts on the process, what have you done research? Do you have any family members that have bought? What was their experiences? What are your views on how you can't, whatever that may be, to buy a home? And then we together will create a specific plan for you. That first step by turning on the light is the application.
Okay, so it's a link. So some people are worried about that. When they click the link, where does it go? And what are they filling out in that application? What's the
Filling out their
expectation?
basic information. It goes
Okay,
over credit, income, and assets. It goes directly to a secure site through the mortgage company. So if you do
okay.
put your social or your date of birth or things that are not public information, we can see that. Yes, everything can get hacked. I don't know much about the hacking industry, but I would just assume everything can get hacked these days. But your information is protected inside. It's not like someone's going to walk by and see your social or any of your information. It's all locked in
Okay,
security.
so pause on that. If I didn't want to put my social, could I call you
Mhm.
and you could input that information as well?
Yeah, you could fill out
Okay,
the application and you could call me separately and do that if you chose.
okay.
I can fill it out. We can do a co-pilot. There's a lot of different options these days. It is with AI and so many other options. Yes, call me with any concerns or questions and we will create a plan specifically for you.
Awesome. Now, income, I know that some people are like, well, how do I do my overtime? What does that look like? Like, you're going to verify that information. So
Yeah.
put in what you think is the best answer to that, right?
So the best thing to do, and I always say this to everybody, if you don't know it, leave it blank. If it
Mhm.
forces you, you can guesstimate because you, at the end of that application, are going to submit your income documents. And there is
Okay.
simply 7 or 8 items depending on your structure in your income. And everybody's
Okay.
income is different.
Okay. So
So
those
those are,
7 or 8 items,
yep.
we could drop a list of that. Do you have those in front of you that typically, okay, go ahead.
So your ID is number one. We need to know, you have to have a current ID. It doesn't have to be a driver's license. We
So
would
pause.
need,
If you're doing this on your phone, would it be best to do this on a computer, or could you just have these documents in a file on your phone somewhere?
I would say that most people these days have their items accessible on their phone. Banking's on their
Okay.
phone, pictures of their ID. They probably get pay stubs on their phone. I mean, you can do it on your phone or you can do it on a computer. Some people prefer a computer. Some people prefer phones only and don't even have a computer. It's both. It's accessible for both.
Okay. Okay. So it's user friendly for both. Okay.
Yep.
So your ID. Got it.
Yep. Your ID would be the first one. Very simple. We would need current pay stubs. So if you get paid weekly, we would need a full 30 days. So we would need 4.
Okay.
If you get paid biweekly, we need 2. And if you get paid monthly, we want to make sure it's a full 30 days. So sometimes you need 2 months,
Okay.
depending on what month we're in.
What if I don't have all these documents up front? Would you still recommend filling out the application and then collecting them, or would you wait till you have
Correct.
all the documents?
Yep, and that's what I was going to get to next. The other items would be and I'll answer that in 1 second. The other items
Okay.
would be W-2s. So at the
Okay.
end of the year, or a 1099, depending on the types of incomes. And these are
Okay.
just the basic overview of documents. Not everybody gets W-2s and 1099s. That is the communication. If you don't see on the list, I don't get that. I don't have an award letter if I get Social Security. I don't know. I've never gotten anything. It's all been directly through my bank. Well, then just communicate that with us, and we can help you go through the steps to get that. Because you can
Perfect.
go to like the Social Security website when the government's not shut down, and you can grab those items and sign yourself up.
Okay.
But to answer your specific question a moment ago is, what if I don't have those accessible? Okay. When you're turning on the light, we're creating a plan. If you have them accessible, please submit them. You can email them, you can contact us. If you don't, just communicate the expectation of, I'm not going to be back to work till Monday. It's Friday. I won't have these items until Tuesday or Wednesday. And that's totally okay because we're at your timeline of creating a plan for you based off your information. So if it takes a week, that's okay. We'll follow up with you in a week. There's no pressure on that. You don't have to not fill it out or stop and go, I can't get this, so I guess I'm just done. That's not the point of this. The point is to turn the light on, no matter if it takes a week, 2 weeks, 10 years, we will be here along with you to help you create that roadmap.
Yeah, this isn't a pass or fail thing. There's so many times where I hear, you know, like, oh, that lender just told me no. Well, why? Well, I don't know. You know, like this is a plan. We're
Yep.
here to help you build wealth, you know, and through the long game. And so, you know, we've had clients that it took a year to get pre-approved, 5 years to get pre-approved, just depending on income and how quickly. Not everyone has a cosigner sometimes, you know, some people have some serious credit stuff we've got to work through, which is normal. All normal, no judgment. So we're just here to put that in front of you so that you're not just chat GPTing or Googling, you know, what do I need to do? And not all lenders are created equal either. So just because you've been turned down somewhere else doesn't mean that we can't help you or give you the steps to be able to figure that out.
They may have different guidelines and or other resources, or maybe not even the programs available.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at W-2s or 1099s. What else?
Yep. Next one would be 2 months bank statements, all pages.
Okay.
And that's really good because a lot of us get direct deposit these days. And or if you don't get pay stubs, because you can just go e-statements where you don't get them in the paper and the mail anymore, and you don't get them in your email. You can log on to a system like a lot of unions out there. You'd have to log on to get them because you're not getting actual stubs. So you can access these things, and that's why the communication part, like I was mentioning, is really good. Just let us know, like, I don't get that. What do I do? Cool. Well, let's go to your company. And another way to do this is the verification. So you mentioned that we verify everything. That's the difference in most lenders. Some lenders just do automated underwriting, and some do just, okay, cool, you got your pay stub, you make, you know, $50 an hour. Here, you can go buy an $800,000 home, when really, you know, it may not be that based on what that is. There's what's called a borrower's authorization. It is very important. One of the most important things in the application is to e-sign the borrower's authorization. This will allow us to order your verification of employment to break down the overtime and the prevailing wages. Or if you're a nurse and you work the morning shift versus the night shift, that's a different pay. If you do security and you work the night shift versus the morning, it's a different pay. There's different pays in every hours and jobs that we work. So in order to reflect that and use the proper income so that someone doesn't just go, you make $50 an hour, great.
Yeah.
But you really made that at night and you now work in day shift and you're not making that you don't not qualify for that home. And I always get the question of, well, I thought I was pre-approved. And yes, a pre-approval is great, but it's pre-approval. It's not an actual approval because they verify everything. So that's really important in this. The other ones that can help are tax returns. They do not always call for them, but if you make any income through business and or you have any side businesses, we definitely need the business tax returns. And then also, if you have any other asset statements, stocks, bonds, cryptos, anything at all, that can help with what's called reserves, strengthen the file so that you may approve or not approve.
Okay. Awesome.
So, not a huge list. I know a lot of people don't have them super accessible. You know, we know how to get them, and it may take a few days, and that's totally okay. That's what we expect. We don't expect you to send them over right then and there so that we can go through that. So next steps from there, as soon as you fill that application out and you've gathered those documents and you've submitted them in, we now are going to go through and just see if we have any questions on them. Okay. Why this hours, what happened here? Somebody may be on FMLA. There may have been a time frame where you took a month off because of family or whatever it may be. And so we need to have those letters of explanation to make sure that we can deliver that to the right people so that we can calculate the income correctly.
Okay.
And so once that's done, we then submit it on our team here at Future First. We submit this to the pre-approval department.
Okay.
We don't just run an AUS.
What's an AUS?
An automated underwriting system. Most companies will run it through an automated system. A loan officer will take the information that you've given them, pay stubs, W-2s, maybe not even a verification, and they'll just run it through real quick and it'll spit out an underwriting approval, quote unquote, which is an automated underwriting. And it's
Okay.
like, you're approved for 500,000, go buy a house. And so they throw that out there and say, good luck, find a house, call me when you're ready. This is where, in my opinion, over the past 20 plus years we've been doing mortgages, is the number one mistake that most people make. Is once they get that approval, so you're back from approval, it's 3, 4, 500,000, or they have questions. What is the next step? This is where the roadmap begins, because there are things in the process like closing costs, earnest money, payments, exit strategies on refinances. We go over and set a time to help you understand why today is the best time to purchase a home. Why is it truly affordable? Because if we just look at the surface of rates and payments, every single first-time home buyer that we have helped this year has said that payment's too high. And every single one of them are under contract. And the reason is, or have already moved into their home, is because there are strategic ways that you can buy a house based on your goals and your plan. We just have to help create it with communication and proper expectations.
Absolutely. Well, and I think we talked about, the difference between your pre-approval process on some videos before is getting a full underwritten agreement. So like the ones we just went under contract for our clients, it was pending the closing of an appraisal and homeowners insurance, right? What else was
Yep.
it? I think
Come
those
on.
were the only two things. So,
Well, we do have to back. They still have to do, they still have to work at the company at the end. There still is updated documents we need. So, it's a full pre-approval is the actual term, because till we have an address, till we have an appraisal, till we have all
yes,
of these things, you can't fully underwrite a file. So,
right.
we go as far as you can. There may be what's called conditions on that approval that we do reach out and get. So once we get the verification back, if there's anything that doesn't make sense, we're reaching out, which is the condition of it, to be able to get approved. So it's a little different, but yes.
Yeah, but I think the point on that as well is that, I've seen listings out here that will go pending inspection or go pending and financing fails, right? And that's happened before too, for even some of our clients, not in years, before this process came about. But we're doing the work up front. So we're spending a week, 2 weeks, a month, depending on 6 months, depending on your situation and what that looks like. So that when you are going to make an offer, you are confident in knowing what that looks like. We're running payment options ahead of time so that, yes, it's high. How do I make this work? What's the long game in this? Number three, you're able to compete against other offers. I mean, the clients that just went mutual this week, there were other offers that were coming in, but because of the confidence and the relationship we have with the listing agent, they understand that because these things are done, we can close quicker. This isn't going to be a headache or an issue. We're not having the concern. That confidence goes a long way when you do that work up front, because the buyers aren't going to be in payment shock after the inspection 2 weeks, which I hear some lenders do, right? Like we know. Our buyers know, hey, this house, okay, we want to write this offer. They know how much the payment is, looking at the taxes, estimating homeowners insurance. I mean, nothing's ever perfect, right? But they're going to feel good about it and can prepare from that moment, from start to there. I mean, there's some other things we do, but to save on time, I think that's a really good place to stop on the process part. And then we can talk about what my team does next in that process before we get to making an offer on our next call.
So that is the spot where the real roadmap to homeownership starts. So if I was going to give any suggestion to a first-time home buyer right now, my number one suggestion would be fill out an application, submit your documents, find out exactly where you are and put the pin in the map. Find out where you are, because your goal is to own a home one day.
Right.
We don't know the timeline of that yet. We don't know what you can truly afford. You know, we may know what you want to afford, but want and truly afford may be two different things. You know,
Right.
you may want a $700,000 home, but you can only afford a $400,000 home, right? How can we bridge the gap and create a plan together to accomplish your goals? So again, the number one thing I would say is turn the light on, fill out everything, look at the credit, income, and assets. Don't shortchange yourself and half it, and don't provide the documents or do a soft pull or do anything that hinders your financial future. Do it to the fullest. And once you get to the point where you're approved for 300, 500, whatever, and maybe that payment is truly too high because you know that during the winter time, your income, you don't have a lot of overtime because it's windy outside and you work outside, or it's cold
Right.
outside, right? Or you know that next summer would truly be a better time, but you now understand why and what the plan is and the education behind it with the proper expectations. And we're not going to bug you. So you said it earlier, it's truly just turning on the light, because we don't want to put you in a position where you feel unconfident about reaching out to us to create the plan for you. And we're not going to call you every day and say, hey, you buying that house? Let's buy this house.
Right.
You now know your plan. And if it's 6 months, then we'll follow up in 6 months. If it's 2 years, then we're going to follow up in 2 years. If you now see, like these clients felt the payments were a little high, but we created a plan for them and it was amazing, and they found a perfect home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I don't know if that would have happened if they wouldn't have turned the light on at the time they did.
Well, and be willing to have the conversation, right? Like, you're not going to go climb Mount Everest tomorrow. You're not even probably going to climb Mount Rainier tomorrow, but maybe you're researching the proper shoes to wear. When is the best time to go? Like, there's so much that happens before you even get there. And oftentimes we see people like, oh, I think I really want to buy a house. So you get on Redfin, you get on Zillow, you get on whatever site you're looking at, and you find this home, and now you're like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta go. And that takes some time, and that house may not be the house for you because there's some things we got to work through. So having a financial planner, advisor, mortgage lender, real estate agent, all of that that can work with you yearly, 6 months, whatever it may be, to always be ready is huge. You have a kid that's graduating high school and they want to, you want them to buy in the next 5 years. What does that look like? They're in college, they're going to be graduating. How do we help them with that? Have you thought about when people go to college, maybe buying a home where they're going to be at for the next 4 years, so that you're not paying housing and everything else? You rent it out to the rest of the buddies and you're building money to pay yourself back for that student loans that they took out. Like, there's so many different options, and I don't think people really realize the vehicles and the opportunities through real estate to help those financial situations, and just want to leave money in the bank or only have it in stocks or only have it in crypto. Real estate is something that will always appreciate. It may go down a little bit sometimes. It's the long game. Ben and I talked about that last week. Really the 5, 7, 10 years, you're going to ride the waves up and down. And we're here to help that. We can't help
Oh, looks like
life
you're getting a call.
situations. Nope.
Okay, it was just a little choppy there.
Yeah. So anyways, but we'll get into the next steps in that process once we turn the light on. And don't be afraid. There's no judgment. I don't
Nope.
care if you're late on your utilities for the last 6 months. Like, let's figure out a plan to make sure that doesn't happen again, right? Like, I don't care if you have a bunch of credit card debt, or, if you're in a 3% interest rate because you bought during those awesome COVID times or refinanced, but you have now $60,000 worth of debt. Like, there's so many different avenues, and you may be in such a great position that it's like, I wouldn't do anything at all. I'd actually just stay there and continue doing what you're doing if that's the option, right? But how do you know that's the best way to go about it until you talk to someone, right? Like, we were watching a video last night, and one of the guys was saying, like, The cool thing about getting into a home and buying property is that is the most you are going to pay for the next 30 years, minus taxes that values and properties. But overall, that is what you get to pay. If you truly did nothing else and you bought a home today, you're locked in for the next 30 years if you didn't want to do anything else. Like, talk about the control and how freeing that is, whether the market goes up, whether the market goes down, whatever. You have control over that one thing in your life.
And that's amazing because that home is going to appreciate over time on a down and up market. You're going to be able to refinance into lower rates.
But if you didn't even do that, you're still only paying that price for the next 30 years. I mean, of course you can, interest rates go up and down, whatever, but when it goes up, you're not paying the up, when it goes down, you have the option to take it down.
And
but
then
you are in complete control of that one thing for the next 30 years.
Yep. And the memories you're going to create with your family is huge, because that's the key. That's why it's the American dream. It's always been the American dream to buy a home. It's always been that. Because you create, I know the memories I think back to way back in the day during the holidays and birthdays and, the pool outside and, the carport I ran into with my bike. Like, you can remember those things that we have, the memories, the core memories we create are all around family and the home, the childhood home, or the home that we grew up in.
Yeah.
So, create those memories and be that savvy homeowner that knows this and knows that this is a phenomenal time.
Right. Yep. It's always a good time to buy if it's the right time for you. So yes, memories are everything. So
they are. The next step would be contract. And I think that we'll create another live that goes through what steps and expectations you can kind of go through once you are under contract. Like,
we have to back it up first because we need to go through what my team does once you have a pre-approval.
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, next time.
Oh, we're going to go through that next time. Okay.
Yep.
And so that's where, and we won't, we don't push you to go buy a home. We're going to turn the light on, create that, and then set the proper expectations and a plan with you so you know.
Absolutely. Yep. So we'll be here next week on Tuesday, and we'll go over exactly what happens with the real estate agent side once you have your pre-approval. So
awesome.
Is that all? That's all I got. You have anything else, Ben?
No, I'm good. I appreciate it.
Okay. Bye, guys. Have a good one.